What's up, guys? Hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about kind of like my pieces of advice for the grieving process if you've lost a loved one. Obviously I'm not a grieving expert. Just the advice that I have just comes from personal experience. The first thing I would say is if it's something sudden or traumatic, realize certain aspects of life are really unexplainable. Losing a loved one to a drunk driving incident, a mass shooting, a plane crash. There's often, not good reason or explanation for why your loved one happened to be involved. So, definitely if it's something, sudden like that, give yourself grace in realizing, unfortunately, some things don't have a ton of purpose or reason behind them. They're just kind of unexplainable. I think after that, and probably most importantly, is to let yourself grieve and grieve in your own way. Don't compare. I think everything that we're all individualistic people. So I'll give an example. One of my friends who passed away due to suicide, one of my friends likes to go to the gravesite, every so often and, go there and have a conversation, bring flowers there. Me, I don't find that as, cathartic or whatever. For me, I don't visit the gravesite that often, and I think I express myself in different ways, like doing, a podcast that focuses on mental health, and, as a way to keep their legacy going, and I think there's no right or wrong in what my friend's doing or what I'm doing. It's just the way that we approach grieving. And with that, I would say I would encourage taking a break if you can, and that looks different for all of us. Maybe you can only take 1 or 2 days off from work or school. But just taking time to acknowledge, like, your world has changed a ton is important, and to give yourself space to process that. The third thing I would say is use the resources around you, friends, families, professionals. If friends or family can together, make dinner for you for the next 2 weeks after, or, if you could go to a professional who has experience with grieving counseling, these are steps that could be very helpful to you during the process. The fourth thing I would say is, I think realize there are certain things that will always trigger you. For example, anniversary dates, right? The 1-year anniversary or their birthday or whatever, like those are always going to be triggering, and understand that. And also understand, like, the circumstantial nature of how the person passed or what they meant to you, right? Like, if you lost your father, you might want to have a conversation with your friends, like, that I don't want to have, I don't want you guys to ever make jokes about complaining about your fathers, because for me, I don't have one. So to me, that's a privileged statement. Like, saying that explicitly to your friends, I think is an important one. If you lost someone to suicide, like telling people within your inner circle, please do not make kill yourself jokes or things like that. It's important to set those expectations of the people around you. I think fifth, I would say, is realize the wound never goes away. I think with time, obviously we get better with it in some ways, but you can't replace the love and impact that that person had on you. Um, and just realize that, and that will, your life and world has forever changed, and that's just something you'll have to acknowledge. Um, it's not, I think a lot of people have this idea of like moving on. You never move on from losing a loved one. I think you just get better with dealing with it over time. I think sixth, it's important to realize their wishes for you, right? They don't want you to be unhappy, sad, depressed, right? They want you to be happy, and they want you to live your fullest life. And that's their biggest dream for you. And so make sure to do that for them as well. And seventh, I would just say, realize they're still alive with you. It's an interesting perspective, and I have to give credit to my friend Glenn Robert Ford for this perspective, but he basically told me, in some ways the beauty of life, right, of losing maybe a blood relative, or not a beauty, but like one of the interesting things about life in terms of losing a blood relative is like if it's a parent or something like that, like realize they live within you, both biologically from a DNA perspective, but like also, just the impact that they've had on your life. Like you've received that energy. And again, even if you're not biologically related, their spirit, the and the time that they had, and the relationship they had with you, you can use that and incorporate that in your life. How would you share their gift in your own way? And with that, doing that, they live within you. In terms of like doing something that they were passionate about or something like that. If they volunteered 4 hours at a food pantry, on Sundays, like incorporating maybe 2 hours in your life of doing that, or something like that, where they continue to live with you and share their own gift with the world. For me, the people that I've lost to suicide, they're living within this Grateful Living platform. They're a big part of this motivation. And so they're alive today in terms of their spirit. Obviously I would have never wanted to have lost them, but given what the events of life were, the beautiful thing that I've been able to find is in a way to carry their legacies onward, to spread destigmatizing mental health, and so that's just one way to kind of deal with it. I hope these have been helpful. If you or someone has passed away, I just want to send my condolences. And then, for anybody that's been in this position and has some experience, if there's a piece of advice that worked for you that I didn't mention, feel free to let me know. Thanks, guys.